Hi, this is Ted Kelly with another Ted's Hospitality Minute. Hey, today we've got a great guest on. His name is Bill Petrella. He's the CEO of Hotel Emma down in San Antonio, Texas. He's going to come on and tell us a little bit about his property and some of the great things that are going on there. He's going to tell us a little bit about his background and how he got in the hospitality world. And he's also going to share with us maybe some of the special uniques about Hotel Emma that would make all of us want to visit. Hey, Bill, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks, Ted. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your time to talk about your special property down there. So tell us real quick, tell us a little bit about you, how you got into the hospitality world. I know you're a seasoned veteran. I saw a little bit of that in your profile. So tell us a little bit about why and how you got in the hospitality world.
All right. Well, I was a kid growing up in New Jersey, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then, as a junior in high school, the guidance counselor asks you, hey, what do you want in a career? And I happened to be looking in college books, and I saw accounting, and I was like, no. Engineering, no. Finance, no. And then I came across hotel restaurant management, and this is way back, early 80s. And I was working at Baskin Robbins in the Livingston Mall, I was kind of the supervisor. So I said, you know what, I want to run a hotel. And the guy was like, really? And then we looked at universities that would fit, my outstanding academic achievements. And I went to Mercyhurst University in Erie, Pennsylvania. Great liberal arts school, excellent hotel program, very hands-on. And then, had a successful run there. And, the more I got into it, the more it was becoming a passion. And I got hired on campus by Hyatt Hotels. So I was started as a corporate management trainee and spent 7 years with Hyatt in Dallas, Washington, DC, and Chicago. And then, that was in the 90s, and it was kind of a recession and whatnot. And Hyatt was stalled as far as I was ready to be a director of rooms, and they were eliminating jobs. So I jumped over to Adams Mark. So I was with them for a short period of time, and then I sold everything I owned and moved to Jamaica to be with my now wife. I got my first GM job in 1994, running a resort in the Grill, and then got married a year and a half later. And, we've been happily married ever since. And then we came back to the United States, worked for a small hotel group, and then joined Starwood in 1997. So I spent 20 years with Starwood, managing 5 different West Ends in Stamford, Connecticut, Washington, DC, Dallas, Texas, Tucson, Arizona, and then lastly here in San Antonio. And then that brought me to Hotel Emma, because the owner of the Westin Riverwalk also is the owner of Emma. And so I was in the family, and when this job opened, I took the opportunity to come here, and that's about 5-6 years ago.
Wow, that's an awesome story. Now, tell us a little bit about Hotel Emma. It's got a very unique past. It's got some very interesting, what I call artifacts throughout the hotel. And it's also a AAA, right? 5-star rated diamond hotel. So tell us a little bit about the property and the history there.
Yeah, so our owner bought the 22 acres that formerly housed the Pearl Brewery, and the Pearl Brewery came into existence in 1894 and ran until 1999, and it was brewing Pearl beer, which is still brewed today in Fort Worth. However, he bought it in 2002, and it was dilapidated, and he came up with the idea of having a culinary destination, which was unheard of at the time, and it's still unique. So we brought the Culinary Institute of America here. He painstakingly renovated buildings, created new buildings. So it's an incredible district that today has 23 restaurants, green space right on the San Antonio River, the Culinary Institute, as I mentioned. It's just a world-class destination. And the crown jewel of it is Hotel Emma. So we're housed in the original brew house, which is a very ornate building from 1894. And Roman and Williams was the designer and who did the interiors and much of the architecture. They're out of New York. And in 2015, we opened, and it is an amazing property. I urge you all to go to our website and look at the images. There's old artifacts. The lobby has one of the original engines that's in its original place in the factory that brewed the beer. We have tanks. So it's a story of industrial repurposing in a really, really cool building. And then, you couple it with fantastic service, and then we earn the AAA 5-diamond rating in 2016, maybe 2017. And, there's only one of two in the state of Texas and about 120 in the United States. And then we're really proud. We were just today, TripAdvisor put their top 25 list out, and we were number 11 in the United States. And US News and World Reports put out their list last week, and we were number 7 in the United States. So it's a pretty special property.
Wow. Wow. How did you guys come up with the name Hotel Emma? That's interesting.
Oh, it's a great story. So our namesake, Emma Kaler, was the wife of the original president of the brewery, who was Otto Kaler, back from 1894. And then, so she was essentially the wife of the president. They were German immigrants, and this was one of the largest breweries in the South. So in 1911, she was in a car accident and needed to have a nurse come and nurse her back to health. So they brought a nurse from Germany. Her name also happened to be Emma. And so she nursed the wife back to health. And then Otto, or the president, was a bit of a scoundrel. So he started an affair with the nurse, Emma, and bought a house a couple miles away and continued the affair. And then they parted ways, but she had another friend come from Germany who happened to be a nurse, and her nickname was Hedda, but her given name on her birth certificate was Emma. So there's a third Emma now. And then on November 12th, 1914, he's in the house with the two mistresses, Emma 2 and 3, and they have an argument, and Emma 3 shoots and kills him. And this is the president of the largest brewery in Texas. Huge employer in San Antonio. So big scandalous story. She fled back to Germany, and she came back 2 years later to stand trial. Her defense attorney was a former Texas governor, so it was a huge story. And she stood trial, and she got off for self-defense, even though Otto wasn't armed. And then she married a juror and moved to New Orleans, but it's all documented. You can't make this stuff up. But our namesake is Emma Kaler, because on November 12th, 1914, when he was shot and killed, she took over as president of the brewery, which in 1914, women couldn't even vote. They weren't running any businesses, never mind the biggest brewery in the South. So really a strong, independent woman. And then Prohibition happened. All the breweries closed. She kept it open and made soft drinks, ice, etc., used her own money. And then when Prohibition was lifted, a thriving business. And she was president until 1942. So almost 30 years, and passed away in 1943. And then her nephew, Otto Andrew, took over. But yeah, so, strong, independent woman, resilient. So what's ironic, Ted, is, in this pandemic, we did the same thing. All the hotels, or most of the hotels in San Antonio, closed. We stayed open the whole time, and we pivoted. And we have a grocery store, so a lot of residents. So we were selling meats and eggs and toilet paper back in the, and we did whatever we needed to do and used our own money to keep people employed. Right. And now the pandemic's lifted, and we're thriving. So she's really our inspiration, and we coined the term Emma Strong. So
tell me a little bit about your culture there at Hotel Emma.
Um, so, it's an amazing building, as I just said, right? I mean, really world class. People walk in, no matter how seasoned of travelers, and their jaw drops, right? And, we've had some famous people publicly declare that, we're like the best hotel they've stayed at. But without the people, it's just a museum, right? And people go to museums once and then they check it off, and you don't go back. So, the heart and soul of Hotel Emma is really our culture. And it's rooted in, we have 16 service promises, and our first one is mutual respect. And the service promises apply to the guest and the associates. But from an associate perspective, everyone has a voice, everyone has a seat at a table. We have about 300 associates, and we're all just human beings, right? I get to sit in the fancy office, and I get to have this great title, but it doesn't make me any better than anyone else, right? I mean, I just have different roles and responsibilities. And that's at the core of our belief. I mean, so we're building relationships with our associates. We are doing everything possible to make sure that their voices are heard, because they are Emma, right? I mean, a front desk clerk will meet 50 people a day, a cocktail server 100 people a day. Right. If I'm meeting one guest a day, it's a lot, right? So you tell me who's most important in this equation. And we let the associates be themselves. We have all sorts of different colored hair and tattoos, and we're not making them cover their tattoos. We're not making them dye their hair some different colors. We want them to shine and be themselves. And it's just an amazing group of human beings that are all committed to the same promise.
Wow, that is awesome. I understand that I think Cher loves to stay at your hotel when she's in the area. Is that right?
Yeah, well, Cher was one. We don't, discretion and respect is another one of our service promises. So we don't really talk about who stayed unless they talk about it. So Cher was one of two really high profile individuals. So she stayed here, and then when she left, she tweeted out that Hotel Emma is the best hotel she ever stayed at, world class, it takes the cake. And she has, I don't know, 5 million followers on Instagram, and we know Cher's been around the block a few times at the best hotels in the world. So it was a really ringing endorsement, and she bought our candles and all sorts of stuff. So that was great. And then Charles Barkley is another one who publicly he stayed here, and really nice guy. And a couple of weeks after he stayed, it was halftime during an NBA game, and they were talking about the Spurs in San Antonio, and he stops and he's like, "Oh my God, if you are in San Antonio, you got to stay at the Hotel Emma." And Shaq and Kenny are like laughing because he's been hard on San Antonio, right? And he's like, no, it's not about San Antonio, it's about Hotel Emma, best hotel I've ever stayed at. And and this is a couple of weeks after he left, and we were still on his mind. And you can't buy that kind of publicity. And Charles has been around the world in the best hotels as well. So it's just kind of nice to have that validation from individuals like that. And there's a bunch of other stories of other famous individuals or corporate executives who have stayed here and verbally told us a lot of the same things. But we can't rest on our laurels too. I mean, we've got to earn it every single day with every single guest. And it's kind of rarefied air, but it's tough.
Right. Well, that is awesome. I'm a huge Charles Barkley fan, so I'm going to take Charles at his word and believe him that it's a great spot to stay if ever in the area. So let me ask you this: if a person was planning to come to San Antonio, what would be the great event to come and stay at Hotel Emma?
San Antonio is a great destination. If you haven't been in general, the Riverwalk's amazing, the Alamo, it's really steeped in great cultural traditions. But a couple times a year, Fiesta is in April, which is kind of our Mardi Gras with a river parade and lots of events.
Right.
That's a great time to come. November is the Day of the Dead, the Dias de los Muertos, which we do tons of celebrations as a city, and that's November 1st and 2nd. Another good time to come. And both April and November, weather's beautiful, but really any time of year. And then Pearl and Emma, is a destination and within a destination, really. We're about 5 minutes north of downtown, right on the river. So you can walk down, it's beautiful. 23 restaurants, all chef-driven restaurants, so no chains. And that's a declared goal from our owner that we'll never have a chain restaurant. And we have a saying, only here, only now. So they are really world-class restaurants, and it's just green space. It's just beautiful. So encourage you to come.
Wow. It sounds like a really great, fabulous place to visit. Now, tell me a little bit about this, and I'll try to get out of your way. I know you got a lot of stuff to do today. The independent hotels such as yours, which sounds like it's a really special spot versus a chain hotel kind of the same magnitude. What's unique about being independent versus being in the chain side of it?
It's a great question, Ted. As I mentioned, I was with Westin for 20 years managing, large hotels, right? And Starwood, a great brand. It's now part of Marriott, but all brands have standards. And, at one point I was when I was managing the Westin Stamford, it was right near our corporate office in White Plains. And I was on a committee to evaluate brand standards. And I think we had like 2020 brand standards. So, down to all the minutia of everything from uniforms to amenities and on, right? So, in a branded environment, you're essentially told what to do, right? I mean, you don't have a lot of opportunities. You can grow a culture and the human aspects you can influence, but you can't influence much more than that. And Starwood was really entrepreneurial versus, and decentralized versus some of the other brands that are much more centralized. But as an independent, it's, me as CEO and my exec committee, and we've got a very supportive owner. So, if we can dream it, we can make it happen. Whatever we want to do is fine, as long as it fits into, our purpose of being and, being world class. It's fantastic to be unencumbered. And, to me, it's just really special and unique. So, very, very enjoyable. But, being independent, we don't also have that safety net of a corporate office, right? So, the people that, we have working here in the managerial capacities, exec committee, they're really, best of the best. They're strong, and, they have to be decisive and entrepreneurial. And, it's a fantastic place for someone with those that entrepreneurial spirit to thrive.
Wow, that's awesome. So tell us, Bill, if someone wants to come visit you guys, how do they find you on the web? What do they need to do?
Yeah, the hotelemma.com, on Instagram, Facebook, you can find us pretty easily. But, go check out the website. You'll really see cool images. You'll get a feeling for the whole Pearl community, because there's lots of really nice, beautiful hotels around the country and the world. But outside the four walls, maybe you're in a city, who knows where you are, right? Outside our four walls, you've got 22 acres of beautiful landscape and 23 restaurants. So, you're getting an amazing hotel experience, and then, a whole destination where it's almost like a culinary resort. So, come and check us out, the hotelemma.com.
Wow. Bill, thanks again for joining us today, man. We really appreciate the time.
Yeah, my pleasure, Ted. And best of luck to you.
All right. Thanks so much. This has been another Ted's Hospitality Minute. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.